What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are going to go over some very interesting aspects in the Bitcoin charts and the DXY charts. We're going to put them together and make sense out of how we can expect this last year, the finale phase of the bull market, to perform. And I fully expect that we have about, maybe not a year, but 8 months, maybe more than that left, if not maybe even more than that, in a crypto bull market, Bitcoin bull market. That's what we have left. So if that sounds good to you, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. The goal of this video, the purpose of this video, is to try and make sense out of price targets that are anywhere from 500K for Bitcoin and above, potentially as high as $1 million by the end of this year, by the end of this cycle. Hit that like button, you guys, subscribe. Let's get into it. Okay, here we go. Now, if you know me, if you've been watching the channel for the past 2.5 years, you know that I haven't really entertained price targets for Bitcoin above 500K, but there was some stuff I was looking at that made me consider it's a possibility, because you hear some people talking about $1 million, right? You hear some political figures talking about that, people who have larger accounts and a larger user base. There's some people that talk about stuff like that. What's her name? Kathy Woods has mentioned that she thinks Bitcoin could go to $700,000 to $1 million by the end of the cycle, even more than that, I think. But let's get into the charts. Let's talk about this stuff real quick. So first and foremost, let me explain what this is. This that I just got rid of right here, that's the DXY, okay? What's blinking there? The DXY is, think of it as like the US dollar index, okay? Whenever it's going up, that means the dollar is gaining strength. Whenever it's going down, the dollar is losing strength. It's not losing value or gaining value. In a sense, it is gaining value versus other world currencies, losing value versus other world currencies, but the dollar is always losing value, right? Every day it's losing value because it's inflationary, and every day there's more money printed out. So it's not a matter of necessarily value versus itself. It's a matter of value versus other currencies and commodities, assets, stuff like that, right? Whenever it's going down, you can see here we had a phenomenal finish. That was the end of the Bitcoin bull cycle here. Whenever it's going down, you can see phenomenal finish, end of the Bitcoin bull cycle. Whenever it's going up, when we're in these expansive phases, Bitcoin tends to go into its bearish phases. And make no mistake, the end of this, that end of that uptrend, it happened to be right at the end of our Bitcoin downtrend too. So you do see, not 100% of the time, but you do see a pretty inverse correlation, especially when these things are making dramatic moves up. Bitcoin can move up at the same time as the DXY. It just doesn't move up as well. It moves up a lot faster whenever the DXY is moving down, okay? So I want to start off, or I guess not start off, I want to move on to something that involves Donald Trump being elected as president. This is not going to be political. I want to keep this as factual and just truth as I can keep it without getting political, right? Because I know there's some of you that don't mind that, but I know there's some of you that appreciate if I keep it not political. So we're just going to keep it to the facts, okay? Donald Trump has been elected as president before. This is not his first term. This is his second term. So in a sense, we have a kind of, you know, historical peer into what we might expect with this administration. It's a totally different administration now, don't get me wrong, but Donald Trump does have some very public beliefs whenever it comes to the dollar specifically. He understands that a weak dollar tends to be good for the economy. Not a dramatically weak dollar. You don't want to see it go to zero, but a little bit of decline can be good for the economy. It encourages spending. Oftentimes, whenever the dollar weakens, that's because lending is at a cheaper interest rate, so it's easier for people to. It encourages lending and stuff like that, which encourages spending, which boosts the economy. It's good for business, all that kind of stuff. And then also, of course, investments. Whenever the dollar is going down, whenever the DXY is going down, that's whenever we see Bitcoin and risk-on assets do their best, right? And he understands this, and he has publicly said before in his last term that it was a goal of his, or that it was something that he would want is to weaken the dollar, right? That's his perspective. He understands that, right? And if you don't understand that, understand, I'm not saying obliterate the dollar. He's not trying to destroy the dollar. I don't think anybody wants to see the U.S. dollar get destroyed. I mean, maybe we do. If the dollar gets destroyed, Bitcoin's going to be worth billions of dollars, right? And everybody in crypto would rejoice at that kind of notion. But most of the world would be in economic turmoil if the dollar just crashed overnight, right? So on a world stage, we don't want to see that. On the crypto stage, it's a pipe dream. It's a wet dream even, you know. But for the world stage, that would actually be bad, right? There'd be a lot of people who would be in severely bad times. But a little bit of weakening, a drop in its strength for a momentary amount of time is good. And I'm dwelling on this so much because if we notice, the last time that he got elected, which again, this isn't political, just because I'm talking about Donald Trump does not mean it's political, right? January 2017, right here, that was when he was elected his first term. If you notice, that was the very top. In fact, that was the first month that the DXY began this immense downtrend over about a year. In which case, you know, the end of this, 1 month later, was it bottomed out basically 1 month after Bitcoin topped out. So this allowed us to have a finale finish, right? This was the last time that that Donald Trump was elected, right? His inauguration day. Okay, if you notice now, we've got a similar kind of set of situations going on, or circumstances going on. I'm stumbling on my words here. January was inauguration day. We've been in an uptrend, and also something similar. I forgot to mention this, right? If we look at this, we had this expansive phase. We're consolidating, right? And we had a high in this consolidation phase. Okay, we definitely expanded here, and we were consolidating. We had to move up in the consolidation phase, and it was at the peak of this move up that Donald Trump got elected and the dollar started to weaken. We have this expansion phase, and we're in a consolidation phase. It's at the peak of this move up. It's not above this high. Over here it was above this high, but I think out of this whole consolidation range so far, it's pretty obvious that this was the move up that we had. In comparison to this, I feel like it's very appropriate. And from a cyclicality standpoint, from a historical standpoint, it happened at the exact same time. We're literally topping off in January. It seems as though we're topping off in January. Could this be the start? And I think it is the start of a move that would be something like this. Maybe we don't see that kind of dramatic of a drop in the DXY, but something certainly that would take it back to these lows, something that would be a prolonged amount of time to the downside. All I'm trying to get at with this is we've seen the administration, or the current president in office before, and he was openly public about encouraging a weaker dollar for a boost in the markets and a boost in the economy. I'm sure 8 years later, he's probably got very similar opinions of this, right? He's a business person. He understands markets and stuff like that. And whether and that's not political, that's just a fact, right? That's literally the thing here. And I think a weaker dollar, of course, and I think we can see that every time the dollar gets weakened, we see this phenomenal growth. Dollar weakens here, that was the bottom of the bear market. It wasn't phenomenal growth, but we stopped moving down. It's normally a positive thing. Dollar weakens here, finale of the bull market there, right? Here we had a finale of our bull market, and the dollar wasn't even weakening that much, right? So it's, as long as it's not expanding, once it starts expanding, that's whenever we get a bear market oftentimes, right? Or at least a stunt in growth. So all I'm trying to say by this is now we have a similar, we have the exact same president in charge now at the exact same time. The charts are looking similar, even from a perspective of expanding, consolidating. You're at the high move of that consolidation phase right before you move down. January 2017, inauguration month, you expanded, you consolidated, you had the high move of this consolidation phase, and you found your top potentially. It's not confirmed yet, but I think it is the top on inauguration month. Same president, but now I would argue, and I think we would all argue, whether you like him or not, this administration is dramatically more crypto friendly than it was last time. Dramatically more. So I can only imagine this is where we're going to have some fun, okay, guys? If you stuck with the boring stuff so far, this is where we're going to have some fun. Hit that like button if you're having fun already, though. I would imagine that it's completely possible then that we could see something that's a little bit more spectacular, even on par with what we saw in the finale phase of this cycle, right? I'm not saying overall growth, no, but just that last year specifically, what did we do? What did we do for Bitcoin here? And I think we can get rid of the DXY. I'll bring it back if we need it, but I'll just mute it there, okay? Let's get this, blow this up a little bit. Bitcoin in January of 2017, right here, we're not going to go from the low. I'm just going to go from the opening price of that month. From the open to the high, Bitcoin moved up. Basically, it did a 20x. It did a 20x, okay? If we were to see that same growth now from January, right? January would have been here. And I'm putting it at the base of the candle because that's where the open was, okay? That would put Bitcoin all the way up at about $2 million. And I personally don't think that's going to happen, but we're dealing with really crazy things, right? And again, the reason I don't think that's going to happen is because I don't believe that the DXY is going to drop this time as much as it did last time. But I still believe that we could see something phenomenal, right? What if we see something that's half that big? If that's what we saw last time with the DXY dropping and the same president being in office, right, and the markets rallied and it was a less crypto-friendly administration back then, what are we going to get this time? To make this invisible again. So let's cut this in half. Instead of a 20x, what if it was a 10x? What if we did something like what we'd have to take away? It'd have to go down to 900%, right? 900% would be basically at $1 million, something like that. That's if we cut it in half, which to me, I don't know about you guys, but if we were to move down here to the base of this range, to me that seems like about half of what we saw in the DXY last time, right? It's about half, maybe even 2/3, but it's still a little bit less. In that kind of comparison alone, is it appropriate to make this measurement cut in half from what it was before, from what it was whenever it was at 1900? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't appropriate to do that. So let's cut it in half again. Let's cut it in half again. Let's cut it in half twice. That surely has to be appropriate to some degree, right? 450% now. That puts us right about 500K. Looking at it in this kind of perspective, it really does make me wonder if we're not bullish enough, okay? If we're not bullish enough. Everybody's freaking out about all these things, but man, we are right about to see the DXY decrease. Bitcoin has been moving up month after month with the DXY, okay? And now we're finally about to see it roll over. In fact, I think if we go, we can just look at the DXY real quick by itself so we can get some indicators on there. Why did I do USD on a monthly basis, right? Let me explain what I'm seeing here. So if we get a relative high here to a relative low there, you're topping off in your golden ratio, the 618 to the 69 area, topping off right there. Likely you would go to your 0.5 or your 382. My bet is the 382 or lower. And if you go below your 382, there's a solid chance you could even go below these lows. I don't personally believe you go below these lows, but back down to them, if not some kind of form of a higher low. Something that would basically account for all of this upside that we had over the last quarter, almost 2 quarters of a year, something like that. So it certainly looks like it wants to go down, in my opinion, from there. If we're looking at this on a weekly perspective, you have a double top in your RSI, double top right there. And you even tested this week. You went all the way up back to as if you were going to see a higher high, but you truly had not just a double top in your weekly RSI, but a double top in your price as well in the golden ratio zone, and now you're back down. There's no doubt in my mind that the dollar is on a path downward for not just a week, not just a day, not just a month, but for months, for several months. It's going to be going down, which would allow Bitcoin, if it's in a bullish phase, which it is, to only grow more than it has this whole time. You guys, do you understand the implications of what I'm saying here? Do you understand what this means, right? We haven't had this happen at all this bull cycle. We had a little bit of a drop here, which was nice. That ended the bear cycle. It gave us a little oomph, okay? But we were just figuring things out. We're testing the waters here, okay? We've been in this expansive phase here. We had a nice move up, but the dollar wasn't crashing. It was just consolidating. We're moving up here, and the DXY is growing alongside with it, right? Stunting the growth, or at least not allowing it to be everything it can be. For the first time, and I don't know about you, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, we'll see, and I believe that I will be right. I think that the price for Bitcoin is about to explode to the upside. I think we are about to see new all-time highs, prices above 120K, prices as high as 180K by the end of February, if not the second week of March. I think it's coming, and I think it starts now. I think it's indicative in the charts, at least at this moment. I wouldn't say it's indicative. It's not fair to say indicative to me. I'm very convinced that we're going to go down, but it's rather suggestive. Let's say it's suggestive. Indicative, suggestive, I guess it's the same word. I suppose I treat indicative as if it's more of a serious word, but I suppose it's the same meaning. Anyways, I'm getting caught up on the BS here. So all I'm trying to say is we are in a phase where I believe we're about to break out for Bitcoin to the upside, and in a phase where the dollar is about to move down, a very similar phase to what we saw last time. I'm just excited, man. I'm very excited for what the end of this year has to bring. We gotta, let me see, hold on. if we're over here. You rejected the overbought, so not as high this time. I don't know. I was trying to see if there's anything related to that. I just think we're going to pull back, man. I don't really know. There's one more thing that I want to talk about, and then we'll end the video. The daily RSI looks bearish as hell, for sure. The weekly RSI looks bearish as hell. And the monthly, it's somewhat strong right now, but it has a possibility to roll over. If it gets back below the 60, that would be a sign that we are going to go down as well. So I want to talk about this, and I've done this a few times in a handful of videos, but it's a very kind of simple way to think about this coming year for Bitcoin, okay? If we go to the cycle high of the very first bull cycle, right here, from a high, and we go all the way back, we go back about 12 months, okay? You'll notice that in these 12 months, they're all green except for 3. One of these red months, actually, you can notice up here with the percentages, it'll actually be positive. It says plus 3% on the percentage right there. It says plus 3%. So there was a gap. That was actually a green month, but rather neutral. Either way, 12 months, 2 out of 12 were red. 10 out of 12 were green. We do this again from the last, or for the next bull cycle. We go back 12 months. Again, you can see that in this time frame, only 2 were red, the rest were green. We carry this over to the next cycle. We go back 12 months into the bull cycle, or at the end of the bull cycle there. 1, 2, 3 red months. One of those red months only closed 0.17% to the downside. So arguably neutral, but it's red, whatever, we'll call it red. 3 red months there. 9 out of 12 green, 3 out of 12 red. That's still not bad. End of the bull cycle here. I'm not going to go from the all-time high, because to me this is not the bull cycle, right? I think this was the end of the bull cycle right here. And if you look at a lot of macro indicators, pi cycle indicators, just all kinds of things, man, it's very likely that was the end of the bull cycle. It makes sense to me that was the end of the bull cycle. If we go back from there 12 months, you can see yet again only 1, 2, and then the last month here was red as well, but it only closed 1.7%, so not that red, and that was your high as well, so you did grow beforehand. Either way, 3 red months here, 3 red months there, 2 red months both of those times. How much time do we have left in this bull cycle? I don't know. I'm assuming that the end of the cycle is probably for Bitcoin. It'll top off in October. I'm thinking early October, personally. So 12 months from that, if we encapsulate all the candles we have so far, we've already got 1 red month out of the way, which means going from here to the end of the cycle, we have 8 months left. 2 of those months will likely be red, if not 1 of those months at least, okay? And then the rest are going to be green. And all of that makes sense. That to me, it's very evident that that's the path forward, if not more growth than that, all because of what we're potentially seeing here with the DXY finding its momentary high and seeing a pullback, of which we haven't had a significant pullback really since the beginning of the bull cycle. So I think it all starts now. I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you want more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.